This latest development has people talking because it seems to change the direction of the story. Reports and photos showed Papoose walking back into the home that many people believed he had already left for good. Social media reacted as if it were a shocking moment, but for those who had been paying close attention, it did not seem completely unexpected. Instead, it looked like another piece of a much larger picture that had been unfolding over time. Rather than relying on rumors or dramatic speculation, many people pointed to the timeline and the images that have surfaced. Those details have led some to question whether the public story about the relationship has matched what has actually been happening behind the scenes. While no one outside the family knows every detail, the latest photo has certainly added a new layer to the ongoing conversation. What stood out most was not simply that Papoose visited the house. According to the discussion surrounding the image, he appeared comfortable and familiar in the space, which led many people to wonder whether his connection to the home had ever truly ended. Supporters of this view argued that someone who has completely moved on from a marriage usually creates clear boundaries. They often return keys, remove personal belongings, and begin building a separate life. Because reports suggested that Papoose still had access to the property, some observers believed this indicated that the situation was more complicated than many had assumed. Of course, having access to a home does not automatically reveal the true status of a relationship, but it has become one of the details people continue to debate. The photograph itself also attracted a great deal of attention. Instead of showing an argument or a dramatic confrontation, it captured a quiet family moment. Papoose was seen holding his young daughter, and the image showed what many described as a warm and loving interaction between a father and his child. That simple scene resonated with many people because it felt genuine rather than carefully staged. A single photograph cannot explain everything happening in someone's personal life, but it can capture a real moment that sparks conversation. In this case, the image reminded many viewers that family bonds often remain strong, even when relationships become difficult or uncertain. The discussion also turned toward Claressa Shields. According to the commentary surrounding the situation, some people believe she may have been given the impression that Papoose's marriage was already over, and that a divorce was only a matter of time. Public appearances, social media posts, and photos from events may have supported that impression. However, others now argue that the recent developments suggest the situation was never as clear-cut as it appeared. It is important to remember that these are public opinions based on limited information, and only the people directly involved know the complete truth about their personal lives. Another reason this story has attracted so much attention is the long history between Papoose and Remy Ma. A relationship that has lasted more than 2 decades represents years of shared experiences, challenges, achievements, and memories. Couples who have spent that much time together often have deep emotional and practical connections that cannot be easily erased. They may share a home, raise children together, and build a life that extends far beyond what the public sees. Because of that history, many people believe it is unrealistic to assume that such a relationship can simply disappear overnight. Even when couples face serious problems, the emotional ties created over many years can remain strong. Some observers also pointed to other details that they believe raise questions. They noted that there has been no widely reported final divorce, and they claimed that Papoose still appeared connected to parts of the life he built with Remy Ma. Again, these observations do not prove that the couple has reunited or that their marriage has been repaired. They simply show why many people continue to question the public narrative. Relationships are often much more complicated than they appear through headlines, interviews, or social media posts. Perhaps the biggest reason this story continues to spread online is the location where the photo was reportedly taken. According to those discussing the image, it was inside the home where Remy Ma still lives. That detail has become central to the debate because many people believe it suggests an ongoing connection between Papoose, his family, and the place they once shared. Others caution against jumping to conclusions, pointing out that a single visit or photograph cannot fully explain the current state of a marriage. Until the people involved choose to speak openly about their situation, much of the discussion will remain based on interpretation rather than confirmed facts. Still, the latest image has given people a new reason to question earlier assumptions and has reminded everyone that personal relationships are rarely as simple as they appear from the outside. When people look at the photo that has been circulating online, many see more than just a father spending time with his daughter. To them, the picture represents a family connection that may not have disappeared, despite everything that has been said publicly. Since the image was reportedly taken inside the home that Papoose still had access to, some viewers believe it raises important questions about the true state of his relationship with Remy Ma. The photo also shows him sharing a warm moment with his daughter, reminding everyone that no matter what happens between adults, the bond between a parent and a child remains permanent. That connection cannot be erased by social media posts, interviews, or public speculation. While one picture cannot reveal the complete story, it has encouraged many people to look more closely at everything that has happened over the past several months. Many online discussions have also focused on a pattern they believe has developed whenever new rumors appear about Papoose and Remy Ma. According to these opinions, each time something surfaces suggesting the two may still be connected in some way, Claressa Shields responds with comments about the future, love, commitment, or long-term plans. Some people see those statements as a sign of confidence, while others interpret them differently. They argue that people who feel completely secure in a relationship usually do not feel the need to repeatedly convince the public that everything is going well. Instead, they let their actions speak for themselves. Of course, everyone expresses love in different ways, so these reactions are simply public opinions rather than proven facts. Another topic that continues to fuel debate is what has not happened. Some observers point out that there have been no publicly confirmed milestones that people often associate with building a completely new life together. They argue that major steps, such as creating a shared home, combining important parts of daily life, or making long-term legal commitments, have not been clearly seen by the public. While it is entirely possible that some personal decisions have been kept private, many people believe the absence of these visible changes leaves room for questions. Public appearances, matching accessories, romantic photos, and supportive social media posts may attract attention, but they are not always enough to prove the true strength of a relationship. This has also led many people to discuss the difference between public displays of affection and real-life commitments. A bracelet, a gift, or an Instagram post may show that two people care about each other, but those things alone do not tell the whole story. Long-term relationships are often built on everyday responsibilities that most people never see. These include sharing financial responsibilities, making legal arrangements, planning for the future, and handling family matters together. Those decisions rarely make headlines, yet they often reveal far more about the seriousness of a relationship than carefully chosen photos posted online. Supporters of this viewpoint also mention that Papoose and Remy Ma share more than 2 decades of history together. Over such a long period, couples usually build deep emotional, financial, and family connections. Those ties are not easily broken, even when a relationship faces challenges. Many people believe that history deserves consideration before reaching conclusions based only on recent events. At the same time, it is important to remember that only the people directly involved know the full details of their personal lives, and much of the public discussion is based on observation rather than confirmed facts. One person who naturally remains at the center of the conversation is their daughter, Remy. Her presence reminds people that this is not simply a story about celebrity headlines or relationship rumors. She represents the lasting bond between her parents, regardless of where their relationship stands today. Seeing her with her father created an emotional response because it highlighted a genuine family moment that many people could relate to. A child's relationship with both parents often continues no matter what happens between the adults, and that reality is something no rumor or online debate can change. To be fair, none of this proves that Papoose and Remy Ma have officially reunited or that their marriage has been fully repaired. Likewise, it does not confirm that any other relationship has ended. The photo simply added another piece to an already complicated story. For many observers, the latest developments suggest that the situation may not be as simple as it first appeared. Instead of looking like a relationship with a clear ending, it now seems like one that remains unresolved, leaving many questions unanswered until the people involved decide to share the truth themselves. For all the public talk and attention surrounding this situation, one thing seems to have stayed the same. The woman at the center of the family has continued to be the legal wife, the financial partner, the person connected to the family home, and the mother of the children. Many people may see that as doing nothing, but it can also be viewed as a quiet and thoughtful approach. Sometimes the strongest response is not making the most noise. People who feel secure in their place often do not need to explain themselves or prove anything to the world. They simply continue living their lives while others speculate. As the excitement on social media fades, the things that truly matter remain. Official records such as marriage certificates, property documents, insurance policies, financial accounts, and school records continue to tell the family's story. These documents do not change because of online rumors, relationship announcements, or trending hashtags. They simply reflect what has legally and practically existed over time. That is why some people believe Papoose did not really return home. Instead, they think he may have always maintained important connections there, even if the public believed otherwise. From this point of view, what looked like a complete separation in the media may have been far more complicated behind closed doors. Once the cameras stopped focusing on the story, attention shifted back to the relationships and responsibilities that had existed for years. Whether that interpretation is completely accurate or not, it reminds people that public appearances do not always match private reality. There are also a few lessons anyone can take from situations like this. First, rely on facts instead of promises. Legal paperwork and official records often provide a clearer picture than words alone. Second, pay attention to how people behave when nobody is watching. A person's true character is usually revealed in everyday moments, rather than public performances. Finally, notice the well-being of the children. They often show where they feel safe, comfortable, and loved without needing to say much. When you look past the headlines, interviews, and online arguments, the deeper foundation of the family may not have changed nearly as much as many people assumed. When two people continue protecting the same family foundation year after year, it naturally makes people wonder what is really happening. Has the marriage truly come to an end, or have both people chosen not to completely walk away from it? That is a question only the people involved can answer. From the outside, it is easy to make assumptions, but relationships are often much more complicated than they appear. Instead of focusing only on photos, captions, or social media posts, it is worth looking at the bigger picture. Pay attention to what people consistently do rather than what they say online. Notice where they spend their time, where they return, and the responsibilities they continue to honor. Official records, legal agreements, and long-term commitments often reveal more than public statements ever can. While headlines come and go, paperwork and real-life responsibilities usually remain unchanged, unless something meaningful has actually happened. If legal connections still exist, if family responsibilities continue, and if the foundation that was built together is still standing, then the situation may be far more complex than it has been presented to the public. In that case, what many people see as the beginning of a new chapter could actually be a pause in a story that has never been fully finished. There is also an important message for the child caught in the middle of all this. If you ever hear these conversations one day, remember that none of this is your fault. The decisions being discussed were made by adults, and those choices existed long before the public started paying attention. You did not create these circumstances, and you should never feel responsible for fixing them. What matters most is knowing that you deserve love, stability, and support. Your future should never be shaped by gossip, online comments, or dramatic headlines. To Claressa, there is also a message of respect. Your achievements inside the boxing ring have earned admiration from people around the world. Those accomplishments should always be remembered before any relationship rumors. You have spent years building a career through hard work, discipline, and determination. That legacy is far more valuable than endless public discussions about your personal life. Everyone deserves a relationship built on trust, honesty, and complete clarity. No one should have to keep explaining or defending where they stand every few weeks. A healthy relationship should bring peace instead of constant confusion. If that kind of certainty is missing, there is nothing wrong with choosing your own happiness, protecting your reputation, and moving forward with confidence. For everyone following this story, it is worth remembering that social media is not always a reliable source of truth. A single picture, matching outfits, engagement rumors, or carefully planned posts may attract attention, but they do not automatically prove what is really happening behind the scenes. Real answers are usually found in lasting commitments, consistent actions, shared responsibilities, and the choices people continue making long after the cameras are gone. Until those facts change, it is reasonable to ask thoughtful questions instead of accepting every public story without looking deeper. Everyone will have a different opinion, and that is perfectly fine. The most valuable discussions often come from people who take the time to think carefully before reaching a conclusion.